Imagine standing before a firing squad, your hands tied, knowing you have only minutes left to live. That was the fate of Fyodor Dostoevsky in 1849. He had been arrested for discussing radical political ideas and sentenced to death. But at the very last moment, just as rifles were raised, his execution was called off. His sentence was commuted to years of exile and hard labor in Siberia. This brush with death would forever change him. It gave him an unshakable insight. Life is fragile, suffering is unavoidable, but within suffering lies meaning. Suffering is the core of existence. Dostoevsky's novels are filled with criminals, outcasts, and tormented souls. He understood human pain not as an accident, but as a condition of life itself. In Crime and Punishment, his character Raskolnikov declares, "Pain and suffering are always inevitable for a large intelligence and a deep heart." The really great men must, I think, have great sadness on earth. For Dostoevsky, suffering wasn't a flaw to be eliminated. It was a mirror of our deepest humanity. Those who think deeply, who feel deeply, cannot escape sadness. But this very sadness is what shapes wisdom, empathy, and the capacity for greatness. The paradox of loving suffering, Dostoevsky, also reveals something unsettling about human psychology. In Notes from Underground, the nameless narrator admits, man is sometimes extraordinarily, passionately in love with suffering. Why would anyone love suffering? Dostoevsky's answer is not simple. Suffering reminds us that we are alive, that our choices matter. It becomes a rebellion against the emptiness of comfort. We resist easy answers and embrace pain because, paradoxically, it gives life intensity and depth. This is why Dostoevsky's characters rarely find peace. They wrestle with guilt, despair, and longing, and through that struggle, they discover meaning. The mystery of existence. In The Brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky writes, "The mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. Suffering by itself is unbearable, but when it is connected to purpose, to love, to faith, to moral responsibility, it becomes transformative." Dostoevsky believed that suffering, endured with meaning, could purify the soul and connect us to the divine. This wasn't abstract philosophy for him. Siberia was brutal. Years of freezing winters, forced labor, and humiliation broke many prisoners. But Dostoevsky later wrote that those years gave him a profound faith in the human spirit, the belief that even in darkness, one could choose to live with dignity and hope. We live in an age that constantly promises happiness, convenience, and comfort. What it means for us today. Thinking about the same question, right? But Dostoevsky would warn us, if you chase comfort alone, you will end up empty. Depression, anxiety, and loneliness often come not from suffering itself, but from the sense that suffering has no meaning. Dostoevsky shows us another way, to confront pain directly, to see it as part of the human journey, and to seek in it a path to growth. When Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment finally accepts his guilt and punishment, it is through suffering that he begins to find redemption. Dostoevsky's message is that we cannot escape pain, but we can choose how to bear it. Closing reflection, so why should we still read Dostoevsky today? Because he speaks to the part of us that knows comfort is not enough. He reminds us that suffering, while inevitable, is not meaningless. To live is to suffer, and to live fully is to transform suffering into wisdom, compassion, and faith. As Dostoevsky himself wrote, man is what he believes. What you believe about your suffering will shape not only how you endure it, but who you become through it.